Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
It's rare, ladies and gentlemen, but it happens. First, a correction I must make. We'll get to that in a second. So hope you had an incredible elongated Memorial Day weekend. The primary battles continued today. Prayers are for Ken Paxton and others. And I'm telling you right now, there's a whole lot of news the networks refuse to use. And two incredible gentlemen to break it all down with me. Happy to have you along. I'm Sam Bushman, ladies and gentlemen. The correction first is rare, but it does happen. When the mainstream press makes a mistake, they usually just kind of cover it up and manipulate it and put it at the bottom and play game. Look, honest people just level. I made a mistake on yesterday's show. There's a guy by the name of Bliss 2. He's in Utah. He's a well-known leader in the Patriot movement for a long time. He's a wonderful gentleman, a dear friend, and I haven't talked to him in a while because he's retired. He was with the John Birch Society for a long time, and I said he had passed away, and I was completely wrong on that. It's a long story. I apologize. I was just doing it from memory, and that happens sometimes as you pull facts out. Turns out that I think it was his twin brother, Chris, that passed away, and I had a little bit of confusion, and so I got to correct that. He is alive and doing well, although he is retired from what I understand. Anyway, just a correction on that. Got to get it straight as always. Also, we had on Lisa Von Geldern with us yesterday, too. She's a national events coordinator for the JBS. Why do we have her on? Because we were talking about the incredible event coming up in June 5th and 6th, Friday and Saturday. It's going to be an event by the John Birch Society. And you don't want to miss this incredible 2026 event, folks. It's at the beautiful Radisson Hotel in Salt Lake City, jbs.org/conference/SLC26 to get your tickets. That's jbs.org/conference/SLC26. Get your tickets. Members and friends from across the country will be gathering for a powerful day of education, strategy, and a whole lot more. And Sheriff Mack's going to be there with me. By the way, welcome, Sheriff Mack.
Thanks, Sam. It's great to be back with you this beautiful Tuesday morning.
And he'll be there, of course, promoting his new book, The Democrat Murder of America. Yeah, demagoguery in the first degree. Daniel Perkins and Sheriff Mack co-author the incredible book. To learn more, to get your e-copy today, murderofamerica.com. Without further ado, we have another speaker from this incredible conference coming up, our dear friend Alex Newman. He's a well-known author on education, preventing indoctrination of our children, talking about the government schools and more. And best of all is his Liberty Sentinel newsletter, named Substack's Best in Politics. Great stuff. LibertySentinel.org for that. Welcome, Alex.
Great to be here. Thanks so much for having me, brother.
There's so much to talk about. Let's first talk about your speech at the conference. What are you going to talk about?
Well, you know me, Sam. I normally talk about the deep state, the evil things that the tyrants and totalitarians and assorted evildoers and devil worshippers are up to. But this year, it is our country's 250th birthday. And so in honor of that, I'm taking a page out of Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War. He talks about the importance of knowing your enemy, but he also talks about the importance of knowing yourself. And I think, a lot of the people who will be at this conference know a lot about the enemy, but they don't know a lot about who we are as a nation and as a people. So I'm going to be talking about our marvelous, incredible history, our incredible heritage. And by the way, it doesn't begin in 1776. It doesn't even begin with King Alfred 1,000 years ago. It begins with Jesus Christ and goes all the way back to Moses. And so I'll be giving that history of how through divine providence, an incredible nation like ours became independent, went on to become the mightiest, wealthiest, most prosperous, freest society in the history of the world. And I hope that by reminding people about who we are as a people, we can try to make serious efforts to restore that and make America great again in a true sense.
And on earth, we don't support kings, but we do support the only king, that is Jesus Christ. And that is the unique difference between America and other nations, historically speaking, from the history of the world's beginning, Alex.
That's exactly right. And, if you read what so many of the key people involved in our founding said, they talked about where they got their ideas from. It wasn't like some kind of mystery. You have these people today who try to be revisionist. Oh, they were just deists. Oh, it was just enlightenment thinking. Baloney, right? They told us where they got their ideas from. They got their ideas from the Bible. And one of the greatest speeches, and I'll be talking about this a lot in Salt Lake City, it's amazing to me that people haven't read this. but it's by Samuel Langdon. He was the head of Harvard, and he gave a speech in 1788 to the New Hampshire legislature urging them to ratify the U.S. Constitution. It was controversial at the time. People were concerned that it might grant too much power to the federal government. There were the anti-federalists, and in retrospect, they were right about some things, I think. But he said that we got our ideas on government from what he called the Republic of the Israelites. And so he's going back to, quote, Exodus and Deuteronomy, where God instructed people how to create a republic based on the rule of law, with the primary law, of course, being God's law.
Sheriff Mack, you got to dig it.
Well, yeah, no kidding. That's great, Alex, and I can't wait to hear it. But I also look at what's going on with the Constitution, and it wasn't the Constitution's fault that people became so corrupt in government. And
That's right.
The Constitution really doesn't. If I were to complain ever, which I've never done, I don't believe, about the Constitution, is it doesn't include enough punishment for those who do not keep their oath or those who go astray from the Constitution. We're not in trouble because we follow the Constitution too strictly in our country today. Far from it. And we have the idiots from the left, especially, and some Republicans are left, that believe that socialism and communism are the answer to the problems that we're facing in our government today and in our country. And that's just the opposite. We've got to get back to the Constitution if we're ever going to get anywhere in our country. And socialism and communism did not have anything to do with the success of the United States of America since 1776 or 1789.
Amen. Yeah, that's such a good point. Most of the flaws in the Constitution were added in after it was ratified. 16th, 17th Amendments. I'm looking at you, right? It's so true. And, that really is one of the keys to restoring our nation is we have to, first of all, read the Constitution. I've seen some of these polls where like less than 1 in 5 Americans can tell you one of the 5 things in the First Amendment. You're like, wow, we're in big trouble. We're not in trouble because of the Constitution. We're in trouble because it isn't being followed, because people don't know what it says, and because people don't appreciate the wisdom, the profound wisdom and the biblical insights that went into shaping that document. And I really don't think there's any way back to greatness other than restoring an understanding of those things. There's no amount of voting for Republicans that'll fix this.
I couldn't agree more, but I do want to make this point that I think people really need to understand. We can look at the Constitution and find things that are not perfect with it. It's pretty easy to do when you dig and when you're constitutionally minded like we are and everything else, because, hey, there are some flaws. It isn't perfect. But let's be very clear about this. The Founding Fathers had to really thread a needle on this one. They barely got it passed. I mean, it took literally, Benjamin Franklin, who wasn't always super focused on religion, to kind of say, hey, if God can, take care of the sparrows, can a nation rise without his aid? And they had a prayer, and they did all these different things, and they had to thread that needle. And so there's a lot of things. I mean, they didn't even have the Bill of Rights at first. And so I'm bringing all this up not to attack anyone, but I'm saying we got to understand that they had a really tough challenge, even getting that passed and prepared. And I look at the nation and its creation as a precursor to the Savior, Jesus Christ, returning to the world. And so I guess I'm saying, yes, we can find problems with it if we try. But really going back to it is the answer, realizing that it's imperfect because men put it together. And they had to work through getting everybody aboard to even get it, passed and agreed upon. And that was an incredibly difficult task, unheard of historically, Alex.
Yep. And I think our Founding Fathers recognized the involvement of divine providence. And I think most Americans today don't even know what that means. But we have to recognize that our Constitution wasn't just a bunch of really smart guys who knew something about history getting together and cooking up a great document. They believed that the hand of God was guiding them and protecting them. They had won almost an impossible war against the most powerful empire in the history of the world. And then we had this opportunity, this unique opportunity under the providence of God, with his help, to put together the most marvelous political document that was ever written by man. And it's a shame that it's been frittered away now by multiple generations of Americans. And if we don't do something, we might end up being the generation that has to explain to our children and our grandchildren why, as Ronald Reagan said, we gave up this incredible gift, and explain to them what it used to be like when men were free. And I, for one, am not willing to allow that to happen, at least not on my watch, not if I have anything to say about it.
And Sheriff Mack, your book, The Democrat Murder of America, murderofamerica.com, really kind of points out where I think we're jettisoning those principles and what we need to do to return.
Yeah, for sure. And I really want to listen to my song, so I'll take it from there.
Turn it up. Back in seconds. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live.
Won't forget Sheriff Mack.
Regrets? Oh, we're all gonna have them. Doesn't matter who you are or what you do. At some point, you're gonna wish you'd done something differently. You know, the woulda, coulda, shouldas. But let me tell you a couple of things you'll never regret. You'll never regret spending extra time talking to your teenager. Trust me. You'll never regret answering your 3-year-old's question about where the water in the bathtub comes from. And I've never seen anyone wish they hadn't sat in the kitchen laughing with their children and telling them goofy stories about when they were kids. Yeah, sure, we're all gonna have regrets, but talking too much with our kids won't be one of them.
No matter what you talk about, love is what they'll hear. A thought from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Visit us at Mormon.org.
Are you watching what's happening in our country and asking, what can I do? Join the John Birch Society in Salt Lake City, June 6th, for a powerful one-day conference. The day includes a host of respected speakers, 2 meals, and meaningful connections. You'll gain clarity on the issues and walk away with practical steps you can take to your community. Reserve your seat today at jbs.org/SLC26. That's jbs.org/SLC26.
Sheriff Mack, standing tall, still answering freedom's call, a badge of promise, a constitutional track.
That is a pretty amazing song for Sheriff Mack there. But welcome back to the program, everybody. Sam, Sheriff Mack, and Alex Newman here. And we've got Technocracy coming at us like a freight train, putting at risk all of our liberties, our prosperity, our ability to govern ourselves under the Constitution, under the laws of God. So welcome back to the program. I just did a big interview with Patrick Wood, who will also be one of the guests coming to the Salt Lake City John Birch Society Leadership Conference. I hope I will see you there. And he's the world's top critical expert on technocracy. For those of you not familiar with that, it's basically the elimination of self-government. It's not really capitalism. It's not really socialism. It's a whole new system where all decisions are made by so-called experts, technocrats, scientists, engineers. It used to be they said we needed to bring it in under the guise of efficiency because apparently free markets were not efficient. Later they changed their tune and it became sustainability, climate change. That's the official excuse why we need it. But we are closer now than ever before to this.
And now they're
form of
jettisoning climate
government.
change for the most part, admitting a lot of that was bunk. And they're moving to this idea that, hey, crowdthink via AI, along with a couple of unique experts in fields, should really be all decision making, right?
That's exactly right, and they're peddling this idea. You know, in the U.S., they seem to have put pause on the global warming scam. Even Bill Gates of hell has come out now and said maybe it wasn't the biggest problem in the whole universe. But just this week, actually, the United Abominations, through the General Assembly, overwhelmingly approved a resolution endorsing and backing up the decision last year from the International Court of Justice. The UN likes to call it the World Supreme Court. Basically declaring that all governments, all government officials have a legal obligation to fight the alleged climate crisis, really carbon dioxide emissions, with lots of vigor. And they said anybody who fails to do that in government is committing what they described as an intentionally wrongful act. And so they are laying the groundwork for eventually prosecuting people in government who do not go along with the climate scam. I know a lot of Americans don't think that will apply to us. I promise you, if they get their way, it will. It's true we didn't join the Rome Statute, but hey, a lot of people didn't, and the UN claims jurisdiction over them. In fact, they've tried to prosecute our soldiers, even though we haven't signed up. So they're brainwashing our kids to bring this about. And these are issues that you're not really hearing about from the mainstream media, except for a handful of propaganda sound bites here and there. But they are so critical. They're so important. And,
but it's really their end game, though. That's what they believe can drive this. All these agendas to create a global governance have failed, but this they believe can run it home because they can force it by technology, right?
Yeah, and with AI now, they look back at all the communist dictatorships and they're like, yeah, well, they didn't really produce anything. In fact, they destroyed enormous amounts of wealth. But now we have AI. Now we have data on everything. We have the Internet of Things, the Internet of Bodies. We have micro data on everything that children are doing in their brainwashing. I mean classrooms. Sorry, and they think, well, now with all this data and with all this technology, we'll be able to micromanage everyone's decisions, and this time it's going to work really well. Forget about the fact that we will be completely giving up our freedom. And that, of course, it will not work.
But yeah, but you'll have nothing, but you'll be incredibly happy. Sheriff, what do you think of all this?
Well, first of all, our book basically does something similar to what Alex is talking about. We include a chapter about we've gone too far. And AI is one of the stark examples of that. We've gone too far. We've gone too far with political divisiveness. We've gone too far with political hate. We've gone too far with political violence, and thus the reason for the title. But AI and everything else, do we even know what's real anymore? I mean, I watch the news on MSN. I still watch Fox a little bit here and there. Every now and again, I'll turn it to CNN to see what lie they're telling. But I want to know what's going on, and I really watch a lot of the shorts on YouTube, and you can see someone, a celebrity who has died, John Ritter, comes back and hugs a younger John Ritter, and it looks so totally real, and and they do that with a lot of different people. People who have died decades ago literally are walking up to their younger person and hugging each other. And so it just scares me what they can do to us and to society and to the truth.
Yeah, they used to have to get you in a honeypot scandal and get you to cheat on your spouse or something to take you down. Now all they got to do is use AI to lie about you, and the lie runs faster than the truth, Alex.
That's right, and it's very, very alarming what's happening with AI. I don't think people are putting enough thought into this. I don't think people are aware of the dangers that are coming at us. It's going to be, if we're not careful, the most powerful tool of the totalitarians ever devised, which is really saying something, because the government indoctrination system masquerading as an education system is a pretty powerful tool for manipulating and warping the hearts and minds of our young people. So.
And we need to be clear about this, Alex, so people get it. You know, when you hear AI and you hear it's everything today and you're going to wake up tomorrow and not going to have a job, robots are everywhere, and then you wake up and you don't see any of that, you go, okay, this thing's bunk. It's going to be like the dot-com bust. There's going to be a couple of steps backwards. However, when you look at the 5-year, the 15-year, the 25-year plan for this thing, it will take root and it will change the world. There's no doubt about it. It just takes time. Think of the iPhone. Came out in 2007. Now it's almost 20 years later. And it's improved a lot, but it's taken a long time for it to be what it is. And so understand that AI is here to stay. Yes, there'll be some stumbles. Yes, there'll be some overstatements, whatever, a lot of hype. But in the end of the day, though, it is real, and it will change the world. The question isn't, in my mind, the technology that's bad. We want to understand technology is not bad or good. It depends on whose hands it's in. And when Richard Mack says we've gone too far, he's right. See, these people want an end game for this. They want to use it for global control and global manipulation and mandating their agendas because they believe that they're superior to the rest of us, and they're going to use technology to force that proof or make that happen. That's the problem, is whose hands it's in and what they intend to do with it, not the technology itself. And so understand, it isn't going to happen tomorrow, but I'm telling you it is going to happen. What do you say to that, Alex?
There's no doubt about it. It is a technology that can be used for good or evil. And unfortunately, right now, people need to realize it's kind of a different technology in some ways, because it is essentially a glorified computer program. And computer programs do ultimately, generally speaking, what their creators tell them to do. And in this case, we know quite a bit about the creators. They're a bunch of weirdos. They go out to Burning Man. I'll be going there later this year. They burn big pagan
Yeah, but you're
statues.
going to report on it, Alex. Just so
Well, of course. Right.
So.
Yeah, not to run around naked and take LSD with the weirdos. No, so we'll be there to expose that. But, this is a technology that's being trained on bad data, right? Like almost all the big AI systems are using Wikipedia to try to understand the world. Wikipedia is a garbage pile. Really developed and created by the intelligence agencies. And a lot of the co-founders have even come out and exposed this. So what we need is to recognize technology can be used for good, and AI is no exception. It can and it will be used for good. But right now, it's largely in the hands of evildoers who want to use it to enslave us, who want to use it to control us, who want to use it to replace us. And so we've got to train our children not to rely on this. My wife and I, we homeschool. We use a great program called Classical Conversations, and it doesn't matter what kind of technology comes out. They're going to be able to think. They're going to be able to reason biblically. They're going to be able to go to the Word of God. They're going to be able to read the Constitution. They're not going to have to ask ChatGPT what to think about stuff. And we all need to be keeping this in mind as this technology advances so quickly.
It's cool. It can answer little questions. It can actually do a lot of great things for you. But look, remember this creation and creator reality. That's why the nation, has to look to God, our creator, right? And God created us, and we created AI. So AI can never be greater than us, the creator of that AI. And I think it's really important just to keep those relationships in mind, Alex.
Absolutely. But, if you read the things that these globalist evildoers are talking about, and we've got quite a bit of it in our new special issue we just did for the New American, Conspiracy for Global Control. We've got an article by Pat Wood on Technocracy in here. They're telling us that we're going to be installing these technologies in our brain, that we're going to be communicating wirelessly, digitally through these technologies. Absolutely. Me neither. It's never going to happen. But Elon Musk actually said publicly recently that if we refuse to merge with AI, we're going to become obsolete. And I say, bring it on. I'll be obsolete all day. It's crazy the things that these people are talking about. But just read Klaus Schwab's book, The Great Reset. Read his book on the Fourth Industrial Revolution. You'll see exactly where they're going with this.
But I'll never be obsolete with God on my side and the Holy Ghost, my brothers and sisters. I'll be ready to rock and roll out. Sheriff Mack, what do you say to all this? It's crazy town, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And it scares me, but Alex brought up something else that really scares me, and that's the United Nations. And they've scared me for decades, and my hat's off to the JBS, John Birch Society, who's been telling us, 50, 60 years, the dangers of the United Nations, and here they are looking so prophetic once again, that this group of right-wing radicals in John Birch Society, what they've done, and they've been right every time, especially about the United Nations and what a danger they are to America and to the world.
And they're partnering with the CSPOA to get out the truth about the proper role of law enforcement and making a difference with truly sheriff-based policing and using the supreme law of the land and your right to due process, and the list goes on and on. They're doing tremendous on that. JBS.org to learn more. You want to go to the conference,
Sam,
JBS.org. Hold on. JBS.org/conference/SLC26. Sheriff?
Yeah, I want Alex to come back because I got a question for him. So I want him to stay just a little bit longer.
All right, we'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. So there's all kinds of stuff going on with this technocracy discussions. Pat Wood is one of the leaders in this discussion. He has a book and a series called Technocracy Rising and does a great job with all that. And Alex Newman is doubling down on this technocracy endgame discussion because we really got to understand this is what they believe will take their global agenda home. Okay, this is what they really believe will allow them to take control of all governance, all government. It's really a secret combination. They're pitching it that, hey, it'll do you wonders, and it's really cool. Check it out. Try this and that. They're floating the idea here. But in reality, folks, the facts are that they will use this to control you. They'll eventually tie money to it. They'll eventually tie access to the world with it. And if you don't pay to play, you're going to be, as Musk said, obsolete. But they'll make it worse. You'll really be a criminal on the outside. We'll come back, talk about that with Alex, Sheriff Mack, his book, murderofamerica.com. And anyway, hang on. Got a lot more for you I'm Sam Bushman. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live.
Yeah, it's worth it when you try.